Hello, everybody. Patrick Ostis here. Hope everybody's doing well. Doing a little unusual one. I know I usually do these on Sunday and Wednesday, but I'm actually going on a business trip, so I'm not going to be able to do any videos this week. So I'm just doing it now while I'm, here, and we can discuss some stuff. Hold on a sec. Let me get my other device up here, so I can see who's in the live chat. Da, 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 da. All right. I think it's working. Okay. All right. So first off, I want to go over a couple things just that I've noticed on my channel here recently. And this isn't directed towards the Las Vegas Massacre Video Archive OGs, the ones that we talk with all the time. Hey, like Brian Eskew, who's on there. How's it going, Brian? A lot of you folks that come in and are regulars, and we talk and we have a great time, and network and discuss theories and stuff like that. This isn't directed towards you, but I've noticed a lot of these folks leaving messages all over my videos and stuff, and basically they just seem to be, pardon my language, just assholes, basically just trying to sling mud and insult people and bitch and whine about the way I do things or the way, somebody comment. I just want to make it really clear that this channel, especially when I'm doing live streams and things like that, this channel is dedicated to having an open forum where we can discuss these theories and we can discuss, what may have happened there. We can discuss evidence. We can discuss all those things. But I don't want this to turn into a channel where people come here and they basically call each other names and sling mud and do all these other stupid things. I don't want it to become like that. I want it to be serious. So a lot of the people that I see these stupid comments, I mean, I block them because I don't want them involved in what we're doing here. I don't want people to feel insulted or anything like that. So I just want to make it clear that when I do these live streams, I'm not CNN. I'm just a regular guy that has been following this, and I have questions. I've been following it since it happened, and I've had questions, like a lot of you, that I want answered. So I spend what free time I have when I'm not, at work supporting my family, myself, like a lot of you do. I spend my free time trying to look into this, and I do it the best I can. So when I get a bunch of messages complaining about how I'm not like Anderson Cooper or I don't run my live streams like Fox News, all I can say is, you're right, I don't. So this is more about networking and all of us talking and communicating and things like that and disseminating information. That's what I want this channel to be about. So all the haters that come on here just to sling mud, I'm not going to tolerate it. I just want to be clear about it. You're not going to insult any of my Las Vegas Massacre Video Archive OGs who've been with me from the beginning. I just won't tolerate it, and I'll just block you, and that'll be the end of it. But anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest that, that's the way we do things here, and that's the way it's going to be done. Now, let me look at who's on the live stream here. Bill Dozer. Hey, how's it going, Bill? Angela G. Hey, Angela, I'm glad you didn't miss it either. Uh-huh. Hey, Charlene's in the house. Angelica Gretchen's here. Diana A's in the house. Discerning Lights here. All right. We got a full house here. All right. So I wanted to go over basically one of the big issues, and I've been looking. So, like I told you, a lot of you guys before, I have a lot of data that I collected from, when it was going, all the videos and stuff like that I was downloading during this whole event ever since it happened. So I've been trying to categorize those and go through them as best I can. And so I was able to separate most of the ones that had anything to do with possible other shooters at other hotels, like say shootings at Bellagio or Tropicana or things like that. Basically, I was able to kind of isolate and take most of those videos out and put them into one file, and I've spent this last weekend reviewing them. And what I was looking for is hardcore evidence of other shootings at other hotels, like bullet holes, broken glass, casualties, something like that. Anything that would be a positive indication that there's been some sort of shooting there or anything like that. Now, looking through all the videos, and I wrote it down here, kind of what I was able to find. Now, there's a video from a lady that was in the Bellagio, and I believe it's her with her husband. A lot of you've probably seen this video where they're in there and she's talking about um, that they were sitting, I guess, at the bar at the Bellagio, and then there was a big surge of people that all of a sudden ran through there. And in her words, she said glass was breaking and there were gunshots on the outside. And I don't, let me know if you guys have heard about this video, if you know what I'm talking about. I haven't put it up on my channel. I don't like, I mean, it's somebody else's video. I don't really want to, kind of do that, but it is kind of evidence. But anyway, the point of the video is she's basically walking around showing all the people sheltering in place and saying that something happened there. The general theme was she was trying to get to is that there was a shooting there of some kind. Well, the next day, or later, I don't know how long, maybe it was the next morning, so October 2nd or whatever it was, and she comes downstairs and she's live streaming this as well, and she's like, comes up to where the area where she says that all the glass was, where she heard the door glass. The glass on the doors being broken and this and that. And she walks right by the area and there's no broken glass. I don't see any broken glass anywhere. So there's no bullet holes. And this is something else to consider. All right. Let's say there was a shooting of some kind at the Bellagio, that would be an active crime scene. I mean, regardless, there's nothing, they could do to cover that up. I mean, there would be a zillion witnesses, to seeing it. Now, I think something did transpire there. I think that there was a big rush. That's clearly evidenced in 911 calls, that there's a bunch of surge of calls, especially after they start breaching the rooms and homeboy fires off his burst in 134. Um, oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep an eye out for what you guys are talking about here. So anyway, this same lady did do an interview later with somebody. I believe it was kind of a alternative media person, which is fine. And basically, she kind of told the same story, that she was sitting there with her husband, and I guess her husband jumped on her to protect her from any bullets or in there. But the general theme was that there was a shooting there and it was being covered up. That was kind of what the point was. So you could see. Let's see, where's Bellagio is right here, and the location of the shooting's up here. So it's quite a distance away. Now, that's not the only bit of evidence I looked at. Sorry, I'm looking at your guys' comments here. Yeah. Yeah, Brian makes a good point here that someone could have dropped a glass in the bar too. Who knows? That's exactly what I think. Um, yeah, I agree. It could have been something as simple as that. I mean, there was. I don't think she's lying. I think she's telling the truth. I think she was sitting there. There was a big rush of people that came in there. I mean, people are panicky. If you look at any of the attacks overseas that have happened in cities like Paris or anything like that, where there's been a bunch of multimedia and cell phones and things like that, people are panicking and running in different directions. There was in Nice where there was that horrible incident where the terrorist ran over people with a truck. They were several miles away. People were running, crazily, because they're, the rumor mill of, oh, there's somebody, there's danger. It's a human nature to get the hell away from danger. So you add alcohol into the mix and things like that in a city environment where there's an actual event going on, where there's actual gunshots and stuff like that. That's the perfect, ingredients for people to be panicking, missing, and to run around and to think that they're being shot at, or think that events are happening, but they're not quite happening the way they think they are. So as far as I can tell, the Bellagio story, I didn't see a whole lot of I didn't see any proof, but that doesn't mean, I'm not saying that any of these people were lying. I just think maybe it's a misunderstanding. I think people on the outside may have heard something, or may have been panicked by something, and they ran in to take cover. This probably spooked the security, of course. They got a bunch of people running through, and according to the lady, like, all the little rope lines and everything were falling down because people were running over it. So it was probably a chaotic scene. People were probably dropping bottles and glasses, or who knows what else. But I mean, I feel pretty confident saying the front doors weren't shot out. And like I said, if there was a shooting there, it's not like the Las Vegas police would be able to keep that quiet, and I don't think that they would really have much of an interest in it. It'd just be another crime scene they'd have to deal with. And if it was, that place would have been shut off for quite a while. There would have been absolutely no um there would have been no letting people walk through the. I mean, think about how long they shut down. I mean, this is one of the biggest crime scenes, it has to be, in history. um they weren't letting people in this whole area for what was that, at least a couple days. I mean, I think it was longer than that. It was weeks even with the actual Route 91 area itself. That would have been the same with the Bellagio. If there was some shooting there that night, they would have had to wait till all the evidence CSI folks had initially gone through the Mandalay Bay rooms and then snuck over here. It would have been shut down for hours, is my point. And we don't see anything like that. There would have been bullet holes. There would have been obvious casualties. And I've never seen any evidence of that. I'm looking through your comments right now. And Discerning Light says, I was wondering if someone came through there and shot blanks. I mean, who knows? Yeah, and Charlene's talking about the police scanner where it's talking about multiple shooters, and they were, and the 911 calls are there for everybody to listen to. I mean, it's obvious that there are people calling in saying there were shooters here, there were shooters in New York, and things like that. But like I said, you got to separate out what actually happened from what may have been people panicking. It may have been people that were wounded moving out of that area, telling others what had happened, and it being misunderstood. I mean, there's a million different things. Um, mhm. And Discerning Light says no one has said there were bullet holes found anywhere, but people said that they heard shots. So going to the theory that somebody may have had blanks. And Diana says, what do you think about it being almost an hour later though? What I want to know is how in line is this event, this where this panicking occurred, with when they breached the room? Because they breached the room, they breached it with a charge that more than likely would have been heard for quite a while. Then they made a second breach in that room, and the windows are blown out, so it's not like that the sound's going to go out wherever it can, so it's going right out into the street. Then you've got you know SWAT guy there who fires off a burst by playing with his fire select. Um, that caused more noise. So people could have been hearing that. They already know there's been a lot of people shot. So I'm wondering if that surge of people has something to do with hearing all the breaching and all that going on. They already know people have been shot. I mean, you'd have to be almost a fool not to take notice of that and think, hey, maybe I want to get the hell out of here. I don't know. And Brian says those cops on body cam had to deal with so many drunk people. I know, if you've watched these, if you really sit there and watch those videos, like some of the more boring ones, like where they're inside the concert hall, but afterwards, after the shooting and everything, and they're just kind of doing crowd control. It was nothing but dealing with drunks. I mean, it was, oh, I felt bad for them. I mean, if you watch during the shooting, there's drunks getting in cops' faces in the middle of essentially combat while they're trying to figure out where the hell the shooter is. I mean, and trying to save lives. It was, oh man, that's too much. Oh, Moondrop's on. Hey, Moondrop. Angelica Gretchen says 911 call number 491 at 2343. Woman is whispering and hiding in the Bellagio, saying we can hear them shooting. We heard 4 shots. They're shooting still, hearing shots here. Discerning Light says the 911 calls are compelling, but I understand that people can escalate fear. And Brian says, I'm working on a video to show everyone what a chopper sounds like when it turns. I could see the gunshot confusion. That's true, because helicopters, they make that cracking noise when they're turning, when those blades are cutting into the air. Interesting thought, interesting point. Discerning Light saying that's why it was, they were thinking it could be blanks to cause chaos and panic. I mean, I had the idea at one point that maybe there was a shooting out there and it was completely not related to anything. It was just somebody taking the opportunity to fire off some rounds because the cops were busy. But I mean, there's no evidence to support that either. So, um, oh, and Angela, are you talking about? Yeah. So the video that I was referencing about de Blasio, yes, she mentioned that her husband was military, like a Marine embassy staff or something, for 22 years, I believe, something to that effect. Uh, and Angela says, would her husband, who is ex-military, not know the sound of gunshots? Well, I mean, I've been in combat, and you know, I'm not necessarily a complete gunshot expert. I mean, I don't know. And what if you're dealing? Every weapon sounds slightly different. And quite honestly, gunshots from a certain distance, they do sound like firecrackers. That's really what they sound like. So it's kind of hard to tell, um, what they are. You can kind of narrow it down to it being real when you can hear the bullet, breaking the sound barrier near your head. But that's just from my own experience. But I mean, if you listen to like an AK or, I mean, what are the primary military weapons that we use in the military is the M16, M4, 249, 240, those type of weapons, and they all have a unique, distinct sound. But other weapons sound differently. And you can put a different muzzle brake on an AR, and it sounds completely different. You can use a 14-inch AR barrel as opposed to a 16-inch, and that'll make a difference in the sound. I mean, it's not an exact science. If I hear any popping at all, I mean, I've been in a store before where some kid dropped something, and I pushed my kids out of the way because I thought it just triggered something in me. Like, hey, that's a loud noise. Obviously, it wasn't a gunshot; it was just something falling down. So I don't know. Maybe the guy's much better at telling gunshots than I am. But speaking as a combat vet, I don't think I'm a perfect expert in distinguishing what's a gunshot and what is not immediately. Moondrop. Oh wait, you guys are talking. I don't want to hear. And Brian says, here's what's weird. Once they breach the second door, you can hear sirens on the ground. Why can't we hear that through the broken window in 135? Interesting question. Angelica Gretchen says, haven't seen any body cams of anybody running and panicking an hour later. I actually do have some. It's not. God, I just watched it too. It was one of the new releases that was released last week. That's all I can remember. And all you do is you see one guy running out. I can't even remember what hotel it was, panicking, and the cop actually. Just because I'm a gun nut, I remember the cop had one of those F&N 45s, and he actually drew down on the guy because the guy was acting so weird, kind of freaked out. And the guy's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, they said there's a shooter. I gotta go." And he's like, "No, there's no shooter there. Go back that way." And then as the cop's walking back, he says something like, God, a guy was, setting my PTSD off. And I think what he was referring to is the guy who came up to him had an accent. So I don't know if maybe he was referring to Iraq or Afghanistan or something like that. But there is some video, I assure you, of people running around and panicking. And this is way after the shooting. But this was just one guy in particular I saw running around. But I've seen others where people were, panicking, moving around. But I couldn't tell you exactly how long after the event that was. Um, and Brian says, Brian Eskew says, I live right by an airport and directly under a heli flight path. Just waiting to catch one turn. We'll get it soon. And Discerning Light says there's an incident over the body cams at one point that the medics report that they are being shot at the Tropicana. Yeah, that's true. There is. When you see the cops get over to that area, the body cams that I found that got closest to responding to that call, basically when I get there, nobody knows what anybody's talking about. They're like, "What? Medics were shot at?" And they ask certain ambulance crews, and they're like, "What?" So I don't know. I don't know what the story is, but that is true. It was reported. It definitely was reported. And Discerning Light says, I can't imagine medics lying about that. The problem is when, okay, after the fact, when at least from what I've seen, there may be other video out there, but from what I've seen, when the cops are going out there trying to talk to people to find out where the shooter is, nobody knows what they're talking about. And they're like, what? No. And every single person they ask, did you see a shooter in there? Did you hear shot? No, no, no. Every one of them. So I don't know. Grant, I have not seen every single bit of footage, so there might be something out there, but I'm just telling you from what I've seen. Oh, Charlene's taking off. All right, you take it easy, Charlene. And Angelica Gretchen says, according to the 911 calls, thousands went running. Hey, Pastor Mo's in the house. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what really to make out of that. All I can do is go off of what and I've that the Bellagio video is just one bit of the evidence that I looked at. Let's go on to some of the others. The body cams. I looked at the body cams of all the police officers trying to, or all ones that were in those areas or were vectored to those areas to deal with those calls, and none of them reported any shots fired. There was no evidence of the videos of damage or casualties that were shot from another shooter. Nothing like that. The only things I saw in the body camera was the police constantly asking folks, did you hear shots? Did you see a shooter? And they're like, nope. And they're all freaked out though, of course, but none of them said affirmative that they'd heard shots. None of the ones that I had seen. Now, the radio, when you listen to the radio calls that night of, the police radio, of course, there's calls of multiple shooters in multiple locations. There's no denying that. But when you look at them event by event by event, there's a depressing lack of evidence to support any kind of shootings anywhere. And there's no denying that. If there was shootings there, like I said, it would be nearly impossible to cover it up. And I don't know what the benefit would be for the Las Vegas police to even try to at that point. I mean, they have much bigger problems with the Route 91, what happened there. I don't know, if a shooting at the Bellagio would be that big of a deal to them. I just don't see what the purpose would be in covering it up. Granted, maybe there's some, James Bond-esque theory at work here that I'm not seeing, but when you go through event by event by event, hotel by hotel, body camera by body camera, story by story, and there's just no evidence, no concrete evidence to support it. There's lots of stories. There's lots of people, before, I'm going to say it, I'll probably get banned by just saying this, but they were in the days after this event on InfoWars. I'm only going to say that one time because I don't want to, trigger my own purge or something. But on that channel, there was a lot of, they'd have a lot of people calling in or saying they were witnesses, and they'd have people on, they say they vetted, and they're sitting there talking about how they thought there were multiple shooters and things like that. But those are stories. That's not evidence. I'm looking for evidence is what I'm primarily interested in, something that's concrete. So I'm asking all of you, if you've come across anything like that substantiates any of the shootings at any of the other hotels, any of the ones here on the Strip, any of the ones, most of the ones that I have marked here were all places shots were called on. Where supposedly New York, shots were fired there. I watched every body camera they've released on it. No cops see any shooters. And when they make contact with security, they deny ever having a shooter there. Bellagio, we've kind of beat that horse to death. Let's see. And Brian says on the initial police radio, they said they are saying there's a shooter over by Tropicana. Aren't they at Gate 7? Yeah, the Gate 7 thing that I could never find on the venue map. And, to be fair, and this has been mentioned before, I mean, when this guy's shooting, the sound is echoing and bouncing off of buildings and all that, and it's confusing. So I'm sure people that were wandering around here could hear this just fine, and they probably, took to their heels. But like you've been pointing out, the initial shooting lasted around 15 minutes, and then an hour or so later is when this big panicking event occurred. Apparently. All right, let me see what y'all are saying. Discerning Light says, I still can't figure out what the guy running across the roof on the porch of the Tropicana is doing. It doesn't make any sense why that guy is running and hiding. Angelica Gretchen says several 911 callers say they hear shots and give descriptions of suspects, including one that describes shooters jumping wall onto bridge of New York, New York, and making it past the police. Diane A says a security officer from New York, New York called 911 and said she heard gunshots. Do you know a time on that one, Diane, by any chance? Hey, Truth Seeker in the house. Uh, and Moondrop says you would have think they would have interviewed the people who did call into 911 hearing shots. Why were these people not interviewed after the fact? Yeah, that's what you would I think it, the largest mass shooting in American history, it probably justify talking to everybody, but that's just us. I can't wait to see the FBI report. I wonder, it's probably going to be just a carbon copy of the final Las Vegas police report, but I still am interested to see it. I'm just curious how lockstep they're going to be with their story. I imagine it's going to be vetted and be very consistent, but still, it's kind of the last shoe to drop on this whole mess, officially anyway. And Amber's, what do I think of Gio Rios? Gio Rios. I don't know if I know that off the top of my head, Amber, who that is. You may have to remind me. And Angelica Gretchen says, talking earlier about the call, wearing all black, carrying gun, shots, gun malfunctioned, and jumped the wall. And Truth Seekers listening from work may not be able to comment. Don't worry about it, Truth Seeker. No problem. Oh, let's see. And Discerning Light talking about that figure trying to duck and hide there. I wasn't sure I saw a gun, but it looked like he was trying not to be seen and running. Diana A says also on last week's cams, an officer texts someone that he is at New York, New York, and her body's all over the street. He didn't specify where, not saying it's true, just odd. No, I heard the same one where the guy's talking into his watch thing. I don't have that smart technology shit. I don't know what it is, but he talks into his watch and it's like texting his friends. Yeah, and he says there's bodies all over the street. And I think, he was, there were bodies all over. You can see from the map right here, unfortunately, every one of these silhouettes is where a body was found or taken to. So, and they're at New York, New York. There was a deceased person right across the street. There was wounded being taken back, and these are just the folks that expired here. There's plenty of others who died in the hospital. So, yep, there certainly was bodies all over the street. I'll look at that video, Truth Seeker. I'll check it out. I probably have seen it. I can't place it right now. And Brian Eskew says, I don't think someone running at that point would be holding a gun. Brian says, but he definitely sees the cops and triage out front when he gets to the edge of the roof and hauls ass the other way. Yeah, Diane's saying, yeah, the smartwatch cop. Yeah, I saw that one too. where they're just kind of sitting there, and then he's chatting it up with some dude. He like has to do it twice because I guess the thing didn't get the wording right. I have a phone that does that crap, but it never gets it correct. So I like talk into it, and then sometimes you'll like hit it to talk into it, and it like won't work. It just I don't know. I hate it. I just text the old-fashioned way. All right. So let me see what my other notes here. And I don't know how much. I'm just curious because I don't know if I want to. I'm putting this up for a committee vote right here, right now. Now I have a lot of those interviews that I Infowars. Okay. Well, I said I wasn't gonna say it, but I have to. Okay. I have a bunch of those interviews. Do you think those are worthy of even posting on there, or what do you think? Should I post them on the Las Vegas Massacre archive channel? What do you think? Or do you guys think those aren't even worthy of review? I'd like to hear what you guys think. I don't want to put this stuff on my channel if you guys, if it's a waste of time. And you guys, basically, I mean, there's a couple long interviews they have with folks saying that they were under the impression there was more than one shooter, and then they have some other stuff. But you know, you take it with a grain of salt if you want. But I don't know. Would you guys like me to post those on the channel? Just let me know what way you want me to go with that. Do you want me to bother with putting those on there, or do we just want to, stick with what we've been doing? You see, yeah, I don't know. Right here, you're both showing me the problem I have in my head right now is Truth Seekers saying it's worthy of review, and then Amber says doesn't want those videos to get my channel taken down. And that's kind of like the battle I'm having in my head right now. And it's like I don't know if I thought that they were extremely like groundbreaking and would really help the investigation. I mean, I would post them in a heartbeat and come what may, but I'm just not so sure about that. But I may have to think on it a bit more. All right. Let me see what y'all are saying here. And Diane says, don't do that. Yeah. And I am too bare. Everything is worthy. You never know what can be found or revealed. And Jake Anderson thinks I shouldn't risk losing my channel on it. Angela G says all is worthy. And Discerning Light says we need to have all evidence available. And True Seeker says if it risks getting your channel removed, don't do it. Agreed. What was that? Yeah, but I don't want to. That'd be so much work. Sorry, me and my. I forgot to give a shout out to my awesome moderator, Anna, by the way. That's who I was. My daughter here. We were discussing how we could maybe post this stuff. I mean, not all of them. I mean, most of them don't even. I don't know. I don't know. I'll think on it. I don't want us to lose, everything. I've already had to give up on one channel because of being censored, and I really don't want to have to play this game again, especially after, we're just now getting a good rhythm here and getting a good network going. So, Moondrop says not worth the chance. Discerning Light, it says if you're at risk, then no. And Jake Anderson says you can save it until later. Time proves all. I'm definitely going to save them. I mean, I'm never going to get rid of any of the video evidence. And Amber said maybe make a backup channel and post it. That's what my awesome moderator here just suggested. Problem is I got like 3 channels I already run. I got War Tracker, this one, and the Glass Shield. So it's like, gets tiring. Make one. The my Anna's here saying I should just make one for risky videos. Yeah, and I could post links to them without posting them myself. Oh, here we go. I kind of like this. Brian says you can upload it as private and give people links to it privately. That's a good thought. Yeah, I like that. Oh, True Seeker likes War Tracker. Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I like that. Maybe we'll do it that way. Yeah, nothing if not intense says don't chance it. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. What do you, and I'm not, this one wouldn't affect my channel at all. What do you think about posting mainstream media news coverage of the event? You know, like from back, I did that a little bit in the beginning and I kind of got away from it because I just, the views were lower. It just didn't seem like people were that interested in it. So I kind of tried to pay more attention to the body cameras and stuff like that. Do you guys think I should post all the stuff I've got from, Fox News and all this and that and all the different news outlets, local news? I got, local news videos, meaning Las Vegas news. Um, do you guys think I should post all of those on? Mm, Yeah, the risky channel and see how long it takes us. That's a good idea. We could make like a discerning light so we could put like a risky channel and just see how long it takes them to hit it. I'll put a bunch of like praising Democrat videos on there as cover. See if that'll buy me some leverage. Truth Seeker saying about yeah, doing them privately and then sending the links. And Amber says with the copyright shit going on, that might be risky. Yeah, I know, but you know what? I post a disclaimer on there. I'll fight it with them. I mean, that's in the public forum. I'm not making a profit on it, so they want to fight it out. That's fine. I really don't give a shit. And if they want, I can do it in such a way where it's so blatantly obvious that I'm not the sole owner. So I'm not so worried about them trying to nail me for that. I'm a little low on the totem pole for them to want to nail me for that. Maybe if this channel blows up, then they'll want to do that. But I'm not too concerned about the copyright thing. I mean, if anything, they should be paying me to be freaking keeping their videos around and giving them more news. Hmm. Yeah, I like that. And then I could post the links in the description so folks could look to them. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do is I'll load those, we'll call them the IF videos. And or no, I don't like that. The IW. Yeah, the IW videos. Oh, that sounds better. Well, we'll go ahead and load those, and then I'll keep them as private. And I'll just put links in there. We'll do it that way. And Las Vegas Moondrop says Las Vegas news might be interesting. Nothing in intense says yes. And Brian says, "Yep, I've been going over all the old stuff recently. Uh, those never seem to get deleted. MSM weathered the purge just fine." Duh, duh, duh. And Brian, yeah, go back to. Mm, yeah, I think Angela's saying the links in the description. I'm agreeing. I think that's the way to go. With the name, and Angela is saying a lot has to do with the name of the video and the description. I learned that building a website. Nothing, if not intense, says I'm looking for some local stuff from Christy. What's her face and Neil? What's his face? They were the first two down there and spoke with some witnesses. All right, so let me look through. All right, so I think we can pretty much conclude with that one. You guys got any other topics you want to talk about? Now's the time. So that was pretty much all I had. I guess to put a period on it, I mean, I don't really see. I'm not saying I'm 100% certain there was no other shootings around there, any other hotels. I'm not saying people are lying and they didn't hear things. All I'm saying is I see no evidence of it to support that. I don't see any evidence supporting a shooting that may have happened there, any kind of bullet holes, glass casualties, anything like that, that would be blatantly obvious evidence of a shooting going on there, which is kind of depressing when you go down, these leads, every one of them, every one of the hotels, but there's just a depressing lack of evidence. And we have to go where the evidence takes us. We can't go where we want to go or where we wish to go. We have to go with what we know and what we can prove. And unfortunately, any of these videos or any of these reports of shootings at other hotels is just not panning out when it comes to actual concrete evidence of some kind of event taking place there. All right. Let's see what y'all are saying here. Danny Diesel's asking how many people called 911 from Mandalay Bay. That'd be interesting. I know some of you on here have followed the 911 calls a lot more than I have. I've only looked through them vaguely, and only one of the files on there. So maybe one of you could answer that question way better than I could. And Angelica Gretchen says, haven't seen a whole lot of evidence to prove their narrative either. Well, I mean, I have seen pictures of the room all shot up, and or at least the weapons and ammo and all that crap in there. I mean, they're showing something, but on the flip side of that, there wasn't a whole lot of evidence. I mean, they fired on the police cars, and I think in the fit report they actually showed. Unless I'm wrong, I thought they showed some of the police cars with bullet holes in them, or maybe I'm thinking of something else. Come on, load up. Hold on a sec here. I'll share my screen. I have the fit report up. Bullet holes in all kinds of things. There had to have been rounds and all kinds of stuff over there, and I don't know how much they've shown of that, so that might be a valid point. They really haven't shown a lot of bullet holes and things and other stuff. My own opinion is there must have been tons of them. You can hear bullets hitting things and in that concert venue. Let's see here. True Seeker says, I think the other hotels were audio distractions since no evidence of ballistics has shown up. Angelica Gretchen says, none from the Mandalay Bay during the shooting, only calls approximately an hour later of hearing explosions and gunshots. That's interesting. And Discerning Light says, I don't remember any. Jay Gunderson says, what about the shots being heard over the police officer's radio at, I think, might be about Bellagio's? And Diane A says, very few from Mandalay Bay. And True Seeker says, Mandalay Bay doesn't connect to 911. You have to go through their security first. Really? That's interesting. So if you are in Mandalay Bay and you dial 911, it goes to Mandalay Bay security first? It's interesting. What if you're calling the police on the security? That's kind of, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't want to deal with some freaking private security company. If I call the police, I want an actual cop, not that. I mean, I guess you'd be calling 911 for medical or something, I guess. I don't know. But either way, you're still going to have to deal with the real 911. So why would it go? I don't know. Stupid. And Brian says, has anyone else noticed the sirens you can hear out the window of, has anyone else noticed the sirens you can hear out the window of 134 after the second breach, but cannot hear out the window of 135 before the second breach? That's Brian Eskew's asking about. Why does this thing keep popping up? I shut it. I swear, I thought, do you guys remember any? I thought there were pictures of bullet holes in I might be thinking of a different event. It might have been something I was doing on my other police channel. Now, I had a message from a friend of mine here asking about brass on the ground. So let me zoom in here. Well, is this the best picture they have of it? You can see some of the brass right there, but I thought there was a picture like right up on it. I might be thinking of the ones that were leaked prior to the official report. Okay. Oh yeah, that's the one. All right. Hold on a sec. Let's zoom in. So this is allegedly all the or a lot of the brass that was fired. You can see the broken glass there, and then the rifle with the foot that's under it, not under, whatever. The little tiny bat thing he used to break the windows, apparently. So there is that. All right, let me see what y'all are saying. And Fast News is noticing also, yep, no noise in 135. And Brian Bacchus says Joe Napoli, who was there, saw at least a dozen shell casings on the ground at Tropicana. But the problem is, like, is there any photos of them though? Did anybody grab them? I mean, that's you see, that's where the frustration comes in. You know, it's like the JFK thing where it's like, oh, always so close to proving it, but there's just no actual evidence. And that's what I find so frustrating. I mean, if there was one video of, of showing somebody shooting or a bullet hole in the window or anything, I'd run with it. But I'm not seeing any, the stories and things like that, but I'm not seeing any actual evidence I can run with. Mm-hmm. And Jay Gunderson's asking, okay, if indeed audio distractions, by whom and why? And Angelica Gretchen says, as a photographer for over 20 years, the crime scene photographs are garbage. They should take at least 3 shots at every piece of evidence, pick of tape of gunshots down the hall. Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people that as far as crime scene photos go, these suck. I have no experience with that, so I couldn't speak on that. But a lot of people say they suck, so I have to take their word for it. Let's see. And Discerning Light says, so then if people called security at Mandalay Bay, why did it take so long for police to figure out where to go? And Fast News said no pics of cars with shots. I must have been thinking of another case I was working on or another video. For some reason, I remember putting a picture of a police car full of holes. It must have been a different shooting. Yeah, it might have been that last police shooting I was working on Glass Shield. Yeah. Sorry, just musing with Anna here about what the hell I was confused on. Uh, duh, duh. Angelica Gretchen says the first call from the Mandalay Bay about shots is at 22:48. Caller number 262 thinks they hear them. I think you meant thinks they hear them between the 5th and 10th floor. Interesting. And nothing if not intense says I do not have concrete evidence, but I do believe there were shootings at other hotels, scanner traffic, but I'd have to put it all together. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I mean, we may be able to take a lot of this like a jigsaw puzzle and put it together and come up with some concrete, but I'm just not seeing that concrete proof in anything I've reviewed personally yet. Doesn't mean it's not out there, just means I haven't seen it yet. And Diana A says you can see bullet marks on the walls in the hallway. Let's see, 100 wing. Uh, I've never really looked at these pictures like super close. Just curious if I can see anything. Oh, look at this. Evidence markers there. I don't know. My vision kind of sucks now, but I'm not really seeing anything. It could be I'm blind. It could be. uh, and Discerning Light says, I think it took a while for security to call 911 operators. And Moondrop says that did anyone see the pics from one of the vendors taken 1 month later of bullet holes in the frame structure in the venue on one hole, one direction, one hole from another? I think I vaguely remember something like that about a month later coming out saying, hey, look at all these bullet holes in this thing. And Brian saw that one. Lots of ones saw that one. Truth Seeker says there were two LVMPD officers in that security office at Mandalay Bay when it happened. They knew immediately. Yeah, I know that for a fact because I have the body camera footage of it. And they go running around and they go to the 31st floor and they hear the automatic fire and they just stop and they sit there the whole time. And then they barely move into the hall, the stairwell. Yeah. So yeah, they definitely knew immediately there was shooting going on. And then on top of that, they heard it right above them. Uh, yeah, and I am Two Bear says even if he grabbed the casings, it would get trolled to death. Yeah, it would. I mean, I have brass casings right here that from the last time I went to the range. I get, oh hey, look what I got. It doesn't prove anything. I mean, that's the problem. It has to be like caught there at the moment. And I'm not seeing any evidence of that, unfortunately. So it takes me a second. I have to read through what's addressed to the group and what is just you guys talking to each other here. I just cut off. What if? Oh, so America's truth comes first. It says, "Damn it, I just got off. What have I missed?" Well, we've been just musing about other shootings and things like that, and the lack of evidence. That I'm not saying there's no evidence out there proving there's other shootings. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying out of everything I've seen, and the exact words I've used is, I see a depressing lack of evidence every time I look into one of these shootings, as far as like the Bellagio or something like that, looking for concrete proof is what I've been saying. Mark Norris in the house. And Discerning Light says, did anyone see what looks like either bullets or shells on the dirt ground in front of the stage? Front of the stage? Brian Bacchus says no one saw anybody shooting, not even Paddock with a gun in his hand. Angelica Gretchen says call number 39 at 2214 Mandalay Bay security calls and says they don't know what's going on. They have a new active shooter in Crystal Room at the casino level, not reporting for 32. He has to follow this. All his first words, right? So Brian Bacchus says no eyewitness to anyone shooting a gun, no clear evidence of muzzle flash anywhere in any of the videos to date, YouTube video or from body cam videos. The closest I can come to that is when I don't know, I can't remember these officers' names, but I call it we got to advance on that dude body camera when those officers are watching. They basically are looking. They take cover outside the Mandalay Bay. There's two of them. One of them with AR. I don't think the other guy had one. And they're sitting there, and they're watching it, and then the guy sees it, and he says, "Oh, I can see it about the 50 or 60th floor." I mean, it's hard to gauge what floor those things are. I mean, I know I couldn't eyeball it, but as they go walking into the front door or whatever of the Mandalay Bay, there, the whomever starts shooting again up from the room, and they both stop and look up, and then they point. One officer's pointing at it, whose body camera you're watching, and says, "It's about halfway up. You could see it right there." That's about as close as I've seen to that. And don't forget, in this report here, they also have what they say a detective got his binoculars out and saw what he saw to be a man in the window shooting down. How you'd be able to determine that from a silhouette, you from God knows how far away, but okay. That's what they put in this final fit report. Diane says, I think there is one picture of police cars with gunshots in the final report. I'll find the page number. If you could, please, because I thought there was one, but like I said, I could be mixing it up with something I was doing on my other channel. I thought there was some. I thought that there was a picture of the bullet holes in the door of 135. I thought, and then I thought there was another one of the cars, but like I said, I could be wrong. Jesus, big ass report. Hmm. Brian Eskew says we have seen muzzle flashes from 134, but not 135. But I say 135 wasn't broken until after the fact. Uh, um, Angelica Gretchen says, sorry, end of 911 call from security at Mandalay Bay after he goes on about the crystal room and people running and seeing a suspect run past. Then he mentions the 32nd floor and confirms 3 shooters. And Brian Eskew says, I still say the 1,000+ rounds didn't come from those rooms. Too much green tea. And True Seeker says, I think Paddock's room was staged. And True Seeker says, I think they were told to wait while the room got staged. That's an interesting theory. Page 43. Page 43. Freaking page of my own. Okay, so. Okay, so there's the bullet holes in the door they took from a still frame. Yeah, okay. So where were did they even show them? So these are vehicles struck by gunfire. I'm going to zoom in on it to see if I can see anything. Because, yeah, I mean, listening to it, it sounds like they were hit several times. So you think, but the picture's like, it's so crappy, I probably won't be able to see much. Oh, you see any, Anna? Huh? Maybe that's something. I don't know. These pictures suck, just like everybody said. They really suck. Where was it? The cop who got shot in the arm was up here, wasn't he? I think he was up on near this vehicle. Yeah, it could be. If there's bullet holes in these dark parts of the vehicles, we're not going to be able to see crap anyway. Mm. Mark Norris says the bullet holes in vendor booth, the vendors had to sneak those pictures. FBI didn't want pics taken. They haven't released any ballistics from venue. And I also heard it came out a lot that the video, like people at when the shooting started and they dropped their cell phones and just got the hell out of there, like when they would recover their cell phones back from the police or FBI or whoever, they noticed all the pictures and everything had been wiped off of them. I heard that a lot of people complained about that. So just FYI. And Angelica Gretchen says if there was bullet shots in the hallway, it should have been marked off. Brian says, I think the guns were stashed in 134 and scattered before the breach in the 135, which that would also explain the weird crap going on with the room um, lock report, where who's going in and out and where the doors were opening from and all that good stuff. And Discerning Light says, I wish I knew how to do animation. I would put the uh, narrative together as they say Paddock shot through those windows, ran between rooms, and shot through the door, all while looking at his cameras. And Jay Gunderson says, speaking of lack of evidence, how about the officer said on 60 Minutes, the officer saying they were tripping over guns? Did anybody see that in the body cams? I didn't see them trip over them. But you know what really pisses me off about that whole thing is you only have like the one cop, the canine cop's body camera in there. Rather than that, you don't see anything. There was nothing on Levi or on Homeboy who fired the burst into 134. Mm-hmm. And Discerning Light says it just seems fantastical for Paddock to have done it all they say. And Fast News says people heard. So what if was mostly distraction shots, say from a car into the sky, not to kill people, just and you know, I've kind of played with that theory too. Like that kind of went along with my theory of spontaneous gunfire. But again, it's only a theory. I can't throw any you know, concrete weight into it. I don't have any evidence to throw into it. It's just a theory. And Corey Brown says, let's protect the glass table and a towel and then blow the window out. And Jay Gunderson says he didn't see, or Moondrop says he didn't see anybody's tripping over guns or bullets. Yeah, and Truth Seeker says there's no way a cop inside the venue made it to his car that fast to grab binoculars. Just saying. Yeah, it was a detective, I believe. So he wasn't even, you know, is this the guy right here? I may have just come up to it. Detective Clarkson assigned. Oh, here we go. Look at what is the luck? Did I just come across it? Receive. Oh no, this is when the cop got shot. Well, the bullets like I'm trying to find it. Well, anyway, I read it on one of the last live streams I did. That the dude basically said, "Yeah, I went back and I grabbed my binoculars and I looked up and I could tell it was a guy shooting from that floor." And I was like, "Okay, you see a silhouette. How do you know it's a man?" First of all, I mean, from that far away, I don't know. It just seemed a little too It just seemed a little too nice to me. Mm-hmm. Page 40. Is that on 43 as well? Oh yeah. Being a killer, what's this? Yeah. Maybe along Boulevard. Sorry, I'm gonna read this here and see. Mortally wounded. Oh, there the exits. North recognized wounded. A strike team in and it goes in there. Okay. Yes, there were bullet holes in Jay Gunderson. Yes, there were bullet holes in door 135. Why did they in America's truth comes first? Why did they break the van window if they had the keys to the car or they could just get them from the valet? Also, they look like the door had tape on it as if it was shot at, as it was shot at. One thing I may be able to answer about why they broke the window. I know in Iraq, if we suspected a car bomb, we would usually the EOD guys break a window to look inside the vehicle with the robot. I don't know if that's what they did here, but I'm just saying that's one thing I saw in Iraq they would do. Yeah, Brian Eskew says, "Yeah, throw 1,000 spent casings on the ground and try to walk." And Truth Seeker says if they thought the van was wired to blow, if they hit the key, they might have broken that window, sent in a bomb dog. Yeah, exactly. And nothing if not intense. That's part of the reason I feel there were shootings at other hotels is because of the scanner. The IC Metro Incident Command starts announcing that it must have been a speaker system at New York, New York. And discerning light, yep, no ballistics. I think they're hoping we forget. Yeah, and unfortunately, Americans, generally speaking, do have a short memory span, so we may forget. I won't. We won't, but some may. All right. Yeah, Moondrop says, I wonder, do cops usually carry binoculars in their car? I mean, I don't know. If he's a detective and he does a lot of stakeouts, I guess he may, but still, I don't know why. That whole story just, I don't know, just doesn't sit well with me. Just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, all right, y'all. So I think I'm gonna end this stream. I gotta get up early tomorrow. So basically, I'll be out all week. I'll be on a business trip, so I'll be out of town for a while. So I won't be uploading anything for a little bit. I'll be back on Friday, so I'll probably be uploading on the weekend. I think I'm gonna go with that idea that we talked about, where I'll load those videos from the channel that will not be named, and I'll go ahead and what I'll do is, like, on videos that some body cameras or whatever, I'll leave in the description, I'll leave links to it so you guys can watch them at your leisure and see on there. I mean, I don't know how much value is in them, but it's part of the evidence, is part of the archive. So I feel like I would really like you guys to at least have access to it. So I will work on that when I get back from my business trip. But rather than that, everybody be safe and be cool. And don't worry, I'll keep diligently watching and making sure there's no haters that invade our channel and pollute our fine collaborative discussions with any kind of partisan BS. Don't worry, be on the case. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll be in touch with you all soon. Be safe and God bless.